Environmental pollution has become a global challenge that governments and civil society organizations have been working together to develop policies and measures to ensure a reduction on its impact on humanity. Management of hazardous waste and toxic pollutants is an emerging challenge for most countries in Africa. This has resulted in serious environmental and public health hazard in both rural and urban areas that needs to be addressed in a collaborative manner. The improved economic growth in many African countries recently has witnessed an increasing trend in the use of potentially hazardous chemicals such as agrochemicals for farming. Mercury in mining, the generation of waste such as electronic waste, e-waste, heavy metals like lead in batteries, persistent organic pollutants, POPs, and polychlorinated, the generation of large quantities of waste cuts across municipal, commercial, and industrial wastes, leading to the creating of open waste dump sites. Biphenyls, PCBs, are also in ascendancy. These dump sites pose health risks to the lives of people and residing near these communities. Additionally, the quality of air in such areas is highly compromised by the unscientific and unregulated open burning of these wastes. About 3.5 million people are at risk of health impacts in the ASGM sector, of which 2.5 million are in Africa. ASGM is a source of employment to 10 to 20 million miners in over 70 countries worldwide, especially in rural areas. The unregulated and informal use of mercury in artisanal and small-scale gold mining ASGM is creating a legacy of severe and irreversible environmental, health, economic and social challenges.
The issue of environmental health impact from artisanal gold mining, e-waste, is an emerging issue on the continent of Africa. It's even going to be more pronounced with the coming of age and with the industrialized activities in the Western world or industrialized cities. There has been significant amount of work that has been done by the international community, the NRDC, Blacksmith Institute, and JEF-funded projects which has been undertaken by UNEDO and UNEP have highlighted some of the environmental concerns associated with some of these artisanal gold mining and e-waste activities on the continent.
Something like 200 million people worldwide are exposed to toxins at dangerous levels. There's a range of exposures: death and disability, reduced IQ, genetic damage, cancer. These are long-term effects which people don't see at the time, but which affect them and their family and their neighbors. And it's often smaller local companies that don't have the expertise and the resources, abandoned sites, artisanal gold mining and other things. The mission of GAP is to assist low and middle income countries to deal with chemicals and waste, so this is in the context of SAICM and the various conventions, to clean up some hotspots, because we all agree at some point you have to stop worrying about it and measuring it and go and do things. And then also to prevent recontamination. So there has to be a program of enforcement and education and training. So those are the sort of three aspects. We focus on health impacts. Typically, we look at the environmental health of humans, especially children. We've now looked at something like, I think it's now 3,000 sites. It's funded by the World Bank, the EC, and various other partners. So we have a lot of experience in the practicalities of identifying and measuring and reporting. Well, what we call the Blacksmith Index is a way of giving a priority score, 1 to 10, on how bad are the health impacts of a site. It's not perfect, but if a site is a 1 or a 2, it's not impacting too many people. If it's an 8 or a 9, it's having some very serious impacts. That helps to begin to prioritize which are the sites which really have the most impact.
As part of efforts to help address the impact of environmental pollution in Africa, a 2-day roundtable meeting was organized by the World Bank and Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) of Ghana in Accra from April 29 to April 30. 2014. Participating were civil society organizations, government representatives from 13 African countries. These countries were Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Togo, Ivory Coast, Tanzania, Senegal, Kenya, Ethiopia, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Zimbabwe.
So you're not the first one. Anyone who claims to grow rapidly, if you can claim your economy is growing at the rate of 8%, whether it is India or China or Brazil or Russia, all around, the initial increase in growth, economic growth, is also supplemented by increasing trends in environmental degradation. So you are not different. But what parts of the economy grows is equally important. And that is where I guess the African nations, including Ghana and everyone, needs to be very careful. Is the growth coming from trading or polluting industry or polluting sectors? So, and you can't ignore the fact that mining will continue to be one of the key engines of growth. Is this a national problem? You must understand the purpose of this roundtable. We could have easily done a Ghana conference and a Tanzania conference. But the reason why we're trying to bring all of you together here is to figure out the common elements. So come out with set of action plan which is consistent with each other, so that when you start to apply pressure on certain polluting processes, it doesn't shift to other countries. As well as if you do some good things. If Tanzania or Ghana have practiced the retort method or have used borax method or have done something in terms of environmentally friendly way of recycling lead or e-waste, that can be replicated at very low cost with very low barrier. I think that is something we want to figure out.
Our government is totally committed to dealing with the problems confronting us. Our major goal as a country is to mainstream sound environmental management practices into our developmental plans, policies, programs, and projects, with a view to maintaining the natural environment as much as possible and establishing an environmentally conscious society. The key goal of our government is to support and effectively strengthen the sustainable management of our natural resources and environmental governance as required by all states.
The representing organizations were Blacksmith Institute, NRDC, USEPA, UNIDO, Artisanal Gold Council. Present were representatives of donor agencies and NGOs. Specifically, the workshop focused on 4 key environmental health pollutants, namely mercury or cyanide, lead, PCBs, and heavy metals. Discussions were held around the following: current country status and challenges related to toxic pollutants such as from artisanal gold mining and electronic waste. The workshop was crowned with a visit to Agbogloshi, a suburb of Accra, where participants were exposed to some of the pollutions in Ghana.
We started about 10 of us. We started. How many years? 1996. Yeah, that we started. So we're just as we that time we don't know how they
big it's become.
Yes,
It's become very
so
big now.
we wouldn't take it. And the scalp business we also melt it and make it and make it.
Why do you melt it?
They melt it and make it iron.
So this is basically going to steel mill. So similarly you have for plastic and rubber, glass, computers. So this is mostly automotive metals.
Yeah, these are metals. Almost about 50,000.
Sometimes you bargain to buy. So if you don't bargain well, then you lose. So if you bargain, sometimes you dismantle to sell. So when you weigh, sometimes you lose or you gain. But we normally gain more than we lose in a direct agent.
We looked at the similarities and we had interesting perspectives from Nigeria and Togo for our group. Indeed, first of all, we looked at the condition of workers and we realized that there were similarities happening in Togo and in Lagos. We realized that the workers, the e-scrap workers, do not use protection, which is occupational health exposure challenge, which runs through the countries. And then also the sites, all the sites, the 3 sites, say Ghana, Togo, and Lagos, they are next to rivers, and the contamination also spreads alongside. Indeed, the example for Togo was near the Zio River, and then also Lagos is near the Lagos Lagoon. And then also we realized that the impact cuts across. We have water impacts, air impacts, and also soil contamination, which runs through for all the countries for similarity.
Then the dismantle of the e-waste in an unhygienic manner. People are just exposed to anything, and they don't care about their health. And then we also saw vending of food products over there. People were selling food. And when we were deliberating on this, we realized that the Ivorians and the Zambians were saying the situation is not different from their country. And these issues that we mentioned are also cross-cutting in their country.
One of the issues is that, everywhere in the world, in terms of the regulatory institutions, labor is an issue, cost is an issue. So it would be very good if, for example, as part of any program, there is that introduction of self-regulation. So one of the main objectives is that we want to promote self-regulation in the mining sector. And maybe if time will allow, I'll tell you how this has worked very well. And also promote continuous improvement, encourage efficient utilization of resources, encourage good housekeeping. Maybe down the presentation you see how some of these things have changed. Then encourage pollution reduction beyond compliance. What we want to encourage is that it is not only that you comply with the regulatory conditions or the standard, but even beyond that compliance with the standard, if you can go or do better to improve the environment. Our focus in Ghana in terms of the mining sector and the manufacturing sector is that if we can get to near baseline conditions, for example, if you started the mining and let's say color is about 50 NTU, we would wish that you maintain your 50. You don't go beyond, even though we know that in monitoring we allow some tolerance limit. So the aim is that we want to ensure that pollution control goes beyond the compliance level which is established by law. And also promote adoption of clean technologies, create incentives, and also improve corporate image. When we started this program, any company that got a good rating, you see it in our newspapers, they buy pages and advertise, showing how good they are to the whole world. So that is something which is, and also promote compliance with environmental regulations, like I said. So these are the objectives which is actually pushing us to develop this program.
I got so interested when you raised my issue because I've always believed that the EPA seemingly has left the artisanal mining sector to the background, and we are not so comfortable because we think that if you look at the level of degradation and pollution in Ghana, for example, let me be particular to my country, you realize that a vast majority of the pollution is coming from the artisanal mining sector, because seemingly we are in the, let me say, in the unorganized sector. They are so much scattered all over. But I think that there should be a starting point, because if you could start by the year 2000 for the commercial sector, and almost 14 years down the line you are having a perfect system, then we should start something today. And in fact, we in the civil society sector, we are ready. In fact, we are even putting proposals together. I'm happy I've met you here today. We'll be collaborating with you together with the World Bank, thinking that we should have something to start. Because that is what culminated, in the formation of this interministerial task force, which we have always been bashing the government for, because we think it's been very unsuccessful. Today, with task force, we now have a Galamsey headquarters, etc., which hitherto was not there. So we think that The way to fight environmental pollution within the small-scale mining sector is not militarization, but we believe that there must be a conscious and a deliberate policy, to motivate the operators to actually adhere to certain rules, and regulations. And I'll be very grateful if EPA will liaise with us and start something. That I think will be the best way forward. Thank you very much.
The use of mercury in ASGM in Africa is increasing as it is relatively cheap, easily accessible by legal or illegal means. Around 1,600 tons per year of mercury is used in ASGM, with Ghana using approximately 70 tons. Government and representatives of EPA Ghana had the opportunity to explain measures put in place to manage environmental challenges.
Important area that we didn't talk about is Galamsey site. I'm happy to say that government has already set up a ministerial committee to deal with the issue. The Ministry of Lands, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, and the local government are all part of the committee. And we are looking at the issues of the chemicals, the galamseyers, the illegal ones, they use a lot of mercury. Mercury can remain in the soil for a very long time.
We have worked with some of the people at Kamukushi, taking some of them within outside this country to be exposed to better ways of working on electronic waste. The next step is to ensure that whatever they learn are passed on to the various groups, and also seek very simple solutions that will be able to upskill for them. We are also working with some of the metropolitan assemblies, the district assemblies, to solve some of the problems that are in their districts.
The UN states that nearly 50 metric tons of electronic waste was generated in 2013. That is almost 7 kilograms per person, and estimates this to grow by 33% in the next 4 years.
We have worked with a number of countries in particular projects. The first project that I want to highlight is a project that has been completed and in which John Plumang from the EPA was directly involved. It's a project that, apart from Ghana, was including also Nigeria. It was a project basically that aimed at developing appropriate strategies for identifying sites that are contaminated by those chemicals that are listed in Annexes A, B, and C of the Stockholm Convention. The project had 4 main components. The first one was aimed at working towards systematic identification of contaminated sites, doing a risk assessment, prioritizing the risks, and then managing those risks. Second component, develop appropriate technologies that could be used to remediate or rehabilitate priority sites. Third component, strengthening institutional capacity within the region to deal with the litigation of contaminated sites. And the last component was aimed at producing a toolkit for the management of contaminated sites. And this toolkit is available. You can download it.
Global environmental conventions offer opportunity to work collaboratively and catalyze policy reforms on how these toxic pollutants can be used and managed in Africa.
52 African governments have signed on to the Libreville Declaration on Environmental and Health. And this encourages them to incorporate and integrate environmental issues into their national policies, plans, and strategies. Multilateral environmental agreements also provide countries with an added enhancement to the national legislations on environment.